Shalom to the nation of Israel, starting off with the hopeful elect. First and foremost, before I get into my lesson, I'm going to go ahead and start off by giving our praises unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone that teach and that rule well today. And peace and salutation also to the fellow laborers that's in the ministry and the believers that scatter worldwide in all truth and sincerity, day in and day out. Once again, I'm the brother Shaquat Gabar coming at you with another quick lesson. And right before I get into this lesson, this message or these videos goes out to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, which we are the true biblical Hebrew Israelites according to the Bible. And also to the Israelite foreigners that are scattered amongst the heathen nations that may take on the physical appearance or look of another nation. But if your bloodline goes back to Negro, Latino, or Native American descent by the seed of your father, you are considered an Israelite as well. So once again, Shalom. So basically, I'm just going to be doing a quick video, doing a response, okay, off one of the beloved brothers amongst the ministry, and that's in the faith, okay, when it comes to his channel, the Hopeful Elect 3, okay. And you can see the title that he gave his video, the leaks know that the terrible day of the Lord is coming, okay. And, you know, when it comes to this individual, or Jake, when I say Jake, another way saying an Israelite, or a so-called Negro, Latino, or Native American, okay, in particular, in this case, a so-called black man, okay, you know, going into how these elites, when I say these elites, the elites are the central bankers, okay, and these heathen nations, okay, starting with the biblical Edomites, in particular, number one, okay, that's in power and that's in rulership today, okay, when it comes to these elites, these central bankers, as I'm making mention, the ones that call themselves the illuminated ones, the Zionists, the 1%, the secret societies, okay, starting off with the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, Gettys, Oppenheimers, okay, you know, because they know that the day of the Lord is coming, okay, which we had to understand, us that's in the faith, okay, us that's involved in the ministry, when it comes to who the word ignorantly call Christ, which his name is Yahweh Shai, second coming, okay, when it comes by the way of Yahweh Shai returning at the peak of the Third World War, and also by the way of the chariots, what the world call UFOs, which are the vehicles of the angels, okay, and the salvation of the nation of Israel, starting with the elect, because in the midst of that, this place America is going to be totally annihilated by the way of thermonuclear missiles at the peak of the Third World War, and Yahweh Shai bringing fire as well, okay, and war against these heathen nations at the peak of the Third World War, and only delivering the elect by the way of the chariots from out of that great destruction, okay, the magnificent deliverance, okay, of Yahweh Shai, okay, when it comes to the elect. Hey, but we know that outside of America, when it comes to these elites, they got their bunkers, their retreats, okay, when it comes to them having their retreats underground, okay, in the holes of the rocks, when it comes to the caves, the mountains, okay, and when it comes to the space stations, okay, the other underwater cities, okay, they got these things that they're capable of, okay, the Lord gave them, okay, and they're gonna be reserved in those retreats, mainly when it comes to captivity, okay, when it comes to these elites, because that's what their future are, these elites and the rest of the heathen nations that remain after the Third World War and the return of Yahweh Shai, because ain't no salvation, okay, for any other nation but the nation of Israel, starting with the elect. Because at this time, 2/3 of Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans are going to be judged here alone in America, okay, especially by the way of the thermonuclear missiles, okay. But like I say, the rest of the heathen nations, starting with the elites outside of America, they're going to be reserved in these bunkers, man, or in their retreats, okay, for them to go into captivity up under Yahweh Shai, and us, the nation of Israel, okay, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, power ruling, with us, the Lord's chosen people, okay, ruling, okay, out of the land of Israel, which the kingdom is going to be here on the earth, out of the land of Israel, which their land gonna be cleansed by the way of thermonuclear missiles. Okay, because the people that's over there are not the true inheritors. Okay, but let me go ahead and play this video. Now get some more intel, okay, on the topic when it comes to the scriptures. And I pray that the lesson is edifying.
This don't make sense to me. Maybe somebody can explain. But why are so many billionaires building bunkers? And before somebody say it's because they got the money, that's not what I'm asking. Rich people don't stay rich by randomly spending millions of dollars on bunkers and supplies. Everything they do is based on risk. Everything. So when I hear about billionaires buying remote properties, building compounds, installing private security, stockpiling supplies, my first thought ain't the panic. My first thought is, what are they worried about? Because let's be honest, if me and you build a bunker, everybody gonna think we lost our mind. But when these billionaires do it, it becomes a news article, and everybody moves on. Nobody asks questions, no curiosity, nothing. I'm flat out saying that they know something that we don't. Because people with access to experts, economic, intelligence briefings, and information tend to think differently than the average person. So when a bunch of them start making the same moves, I pay attention, not because I'm scared, but because I'm curious.
Okay, so you heard it, Jake. Okay, because like I say, man, when it comes to these elites, mainly, when it comes to these elites, they at their retreats, they're gonna be reserved for captivity. Okay, but you even got certain like you say, billionaires or high rich income individuals. Okay, when it comes to Esau, Edom, the so-called white race, and these heathen nations over here in America. Okay, that's buying bunkers or doomsday prepping. Okay, the average American citizens. Okay, hey, but this place gonna be totally destroyed, man. Okay, and they bunkers really gonna become they tomb. Okay, yeah, because this place, like I said, gonna be destroyed by the way of thermonuclear missiles. Okay, and the Lord Yahweh Shai breaking fire by the way of the chariots. Okay, the whole land of America. Okay, when it comes to these heathen nations, rulership start with the Edomites and 2/3 of our people. Okay, they think they got a chance to get into these bunkers or something, or fallout shelters or anything. Okay, all that's gonna be come to their demise, man. Okay, but when it comes to these heathen nations outside of America, okay, mainly these elites, as they gonna be in their retreats, okay, they're gonna be reserved for captivity. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the scriptures. And when it comes to us, the nation of Israel, starting with the elect, okay, us are the hopeful elect. Okay, after the great deliverance, Yahweh Shai is going to descend us back here on the earth, the rule once again. And we're going to be in that time immortal. Okay, the new covenant being in effect when it comes to the law, statute, commandments, and our inward parts. Okay, and we're going to have spiritual power. Okay, to gather up these heathen nations and put them in captivity, man. Starting with these elites. But let me get this. Isaiah chapter 63, verse 1. Who is that coming from Edom? Okay, Edom represent Esau. Edom represent today the so-called white race. Okay, in particular at this time, America destruction. That's going to lead to Esau, Edom, these elites, and the rest of these heathens, they downfall, man. And it says, who is this that coming from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? Okay, the modern day, back then the capital of Edom was Basra, and today would be America. Okay, their main stronghold when it comes to these elites of Esau, Edom, and their rulership. And it says, this that is glorious in its apparel. Okay, Yahweh shall return by the way of the hosts of angels, what the world call UFOs. Okay, traveling in the greatness of his strength, I that speaketh is righteousness, mighty to save. Okay, and the Lord Yahweh Shai only come back to save the elect of the nation of Israel here in America. And when the elect is scattered worldwide, according to Matthew the 24th chapter, verses 29 through 21 through 31, by the way of the so-called UFO invasion, okay, or the vehicles of the angels, which are dark-skinned entities or so-called Negroes, okay. Yahushua being the head, okay, out of the tribe of Judah, the so-called Negroes, okay, and the Lord only going to save the elect, okay, when it comes to the nation of Israel. Wherefore art thou red and thy imperial, and thy garment is like him that treadeth in a wine fat, okay, that's representing the great destruction that Yahushua has come back to bring against Esau, Edom, and these heathens' kingdom, okay, and at this time 2/3, okay, by the way of the chariots bringing fire, right along with the missiles, okay, that's going to lead to the downfall of Esau, Edom, and these heathens, and the transition of power, okay. I had trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me, okay, so Yahushua has come back to represent the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, okay, and during that time, also going to lead to all these false gods and idol worship that the world uphold, okay, it's going to be disannounced, okay, it's going to come to pass that there's only one true living power, and that's the God of the God Yahweh and Yahushua, okay, the God of Israel and the creator of all things, okay. And I had trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me, for I tread them in my anger and trampled them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will sustain all my raiment, for the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeem is come. Okay, so when they're going into Yahushua returning with the so-called UFO invasion. Okay, matter of fact, let's get this. Revelation chapter 1, verse 7. And it says, behold, he coming with clouds. Okay, that's another way of saying the so-called UFOs. Okay, which they call them unidentified flying objects. Okay, or UAPs. Okay, or unidentified aerial phenomena. Okay, but we know they are the vehicles of the angels. Okay, and the Lord described them as the chariots, clouds. Okay, and it says, behold, he coming with clouds, and every eye shall see him. Okay, and there's no limitation to the power of those chariots, man, because they're angelic forces. Okay, Yahushua's come back as that angelic being. Okay, and there's plenty of scriptures. Okay, we just not read one in Isaiah. Okay, now this. Okay, this one, Revelation chapter 1, verse 7. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierce him, all the kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him, even so Amen. Okay, so going into Yahushua returning. Okay, like I've been going into, leading to this place of miracle ultimately being destroyed by the way of the missiles. Okay, and the chariots bringing fire. And when it comes to the aftermath, okay, during the process, those the elites are going to be in their retreats just to be reserved for captivity. Matter of fact, let's get this, as I seen that scripture that one of the believers, okay, put up on the brother video, okay, Isaiah 2:19. Isaiah chapter 2, verse 19. And they shall go into the holes of the rocks, into the caves of the earth, for the fear of the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai, for the glory of his majesty, when he is arising to shake the earth, okay, to tremble the earth, to tremble the earth, okay, that's going to Yahweh Shai returning by the way of the chariots, man, okay, and in that process, the elites and these, those that's in lead with them, and those that have the resource or the resorts, okay, to go into those bunkers, like I say, when it comes to the underground bunkers, okay, the bunkers that's in the caves, okay, they got, through their technology, okay, reserves out of space stations, okay, they got underwater cities, okay, and when they got they technology, okay, to help them advance those type of bunkers, okay, but they're gonna be reserved for captivity. Let's get this. Let me see. This is Revelation chapter 6, verse 12. And I beheld, and when he had opened the sixth seal, okay, going to Yahushua, okay, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. Okay, that's going to the great day of the Lord. Yahushua returned with the missiles. Okay, right along with the missiles being launched, and Yahushua returned with the chairs, I say. Okay, that's going to lead us place desolate. Okay, America. And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. Okay, that mighty wind going into the nuclear destruction. And the chairs bringing fire. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together. That's going into the mushroom cloud. Okay, where John is describing, okay, the missiles in the aftermath once those missiles hit on this place America. And every mountain and island will move out of their places. Okay, verse 15. And the kings of the earth and the great men and the rich men, okay, going to these elites, and the chief captains and the mighty men and every bondman and every free man hide themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. Okay, going to they retreats, they bunkers. Okay, because not only this, they're gonna be these elites, they're gonna have their families down there, certain citizens or servants. Okay, to help aid into those bunkers. Okay, that's why I say bondmen or free men. Okay, they military and certain technology, advanced, okay, technology up under those when it comes to those bunkers, when it comes to their retreats, like I said, underground cities. Okay, when it comes to the earth, caves, when it comes to the mountains, okay, the retreats out of space, okay, underwater cities, okay. Esau have the blessing of those capabilities, okay, just for them to be reserved in those resources for captivity eventually. And verse 16, and say to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, from the wrath of the Lamb. Okay, Yahushua returning by the way of the chairs. Okay, for the great day of his wrath is come. Who shall be able to stand? Okay, like I said, they're gonna go in on bunkers to be reserved for captivity. Okay, and eventually, Yahushua is gonna descend the elect from out of the chariots. Okay, the hopeful elect. Okay, praying our part of their number, and I know other brothers as well. Okay, brothers, of course, and the believers, or when it comes to the 1/3, the 144,000, the 1/3 that destined to be saved. Okay, but like I mentioned earlier, after the aftermath of the Third World War, the Lord going to send the elect back here on the earth to rule by the way of a spiritual angelic force, man. Okay, when it comes to immortality, okay, it's ruling. Okay, Revelation chapter 13, verse 9. Okay, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. This is the patience and the faith of the saints. Okay, so that's going to be the future of Esau, Edom, and these heathens, man. Okay, Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 16 and 17. Okay, that's going to take effect, okay, when Yahushua descend the elect back here on the earth, okay, and to represent the Heavenly Father kingdom and the Son, Yahushua kingdom, the rule in our land. But this is Revelation chapter 21, verse 1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, okay, going to a new rulership, transition of power, okay, 2nd Esdras 6 and 6 through 9. Esau, Edom, the end of the world, coming to the time of Esau, Edom kingdom being taken from him. When Yahushua returned, it began a new world, a new age, a new rulership when it comes to Yahushua, okay, and Jacob, okay, today, which are the Israelites, okay, starting with the elect. And it says, and I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, okay, going to Esau, Edom rulership and these heathens, okay, and there was no more sea, okay, the sea represent the people, okay, the nations when Yahushua returned, okay, the heathen nation that remain in those times, okay, they're going to be reserved for captivity, okay, like I always make mention, the heathen nation that perish here in America, in this lifetime, they're going to come back in the kingdom, okay, through the ones that be reserved, reincarnated as slaves, man. Okay, and the 2/3 of our people that perish on this side, they're gonna come back in the kingdom, reincarnated as sons and daughters of the elect, and that's how eventually Israel going to inherit the kingdom as a whole. Okay, yeah, but the seed represent the nations. Matter of fact, let me see. Let me see. Is that here we go. Revelation chapter 17, verse 1. And there came one of the 7 angels, which had a 7 seal, 7 veils, and talked with me, saying, saying unto me, come hither, I will show you the great judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. Okay, and that's going to this place, America. Okay, that great whore, America, being destroyed by the way of the missiles and the chariots, with whom the kings of the earth had committed fornication, and the habitation of the earth had been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Okay, but I want to get to the point and say that here we go, verse 15. And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the whore sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. So that's what's going into when it comes to the waters or the sea. Okay, backing up Revelation chapter 21. Okay, verse 1, when it says that and there was no more sea, going into the heathen nations being taken out of power, man. Starting with this place, America, being destroyed, leading to Esau, Edom, downfall in these heathens as they're going to go into captivity. Verse 2, Revelation chapter 21, verse 2. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, okay, going into Yahushua elect, okay, coming down from Yahweh out of the heaven, prepares a bride adorned for her husband, okay. So that's going to when we take over, okay. So the hopeful elect take over Esau, Edom, okay, take over the earth, Esau, Edom, and these heathens as they're going to go into captivity, man. As we're going to go into their retreats, their bunkers, like I said, because we're going to have that immortality, and we're going to have spiritual power, man. That's the blessing what the Lord about to give us, okay? Which Israel, or in the Hebrew, Yasharallah, mean he prince of God, or he prince of power. And that's what the Lord about to store back unto us, that God-like power, man. Okay? Let's get this, and I'll probably get ready to close. And that's going to be one of the first things that we're going to do when we descend back here on the earth, okay? Us are the hopeful elect, okay? Take Esau, Edom, and these heathens out of their retreats and put them in chains, okay? When it comes to captivity, on layman's term, slavery, okay? To build up our kingdom for a 1,000-year period, and after that 1,000-year period, the only nation that's going to be done away with is Esau, Edom, Obadiah 1 and 18. But let me get this. Amos chapter 9, verse 2. Though they dig into hell, okay, going to the underground bunkers, okay, not a mythical place called hell, okay, that's false. Okay, the word hell simply means grade, low state, the ground, okay. In this case, going into under the ground, when it comes to these elites having the underground bunkers. Though they dig into hell, this shall my hand take them. Okay, who's the hand? Going to be the hand of the Lord. Okay, the nation of Israel, start with the elect men. Okay, mainly, the elect men. Okay, that's going to gather them up out of those bunkers, or underground bunkers. And it says, and though they climb up into heaven, okay, like I said, they got these space stations. Okay, the Lord going to destroy all that, man. Okay, they're going to be taken from out of that. Okay, because like I said, we're going to have spiritual power. We're going to be able to be as the angels, man. We're going to be able to fly. Yeah, we're going to own chariots ourselves. Okay, these are blessings that the Lord going to give us, man, the nation of Israel. Okay, if we're going to have that spiritual power, be able to fly out of space, to take them out of their bunkers. Okay, when it comes to them, out of the, the atmosphere of the earth. Okay, not in deep space, like the heavens. Okay, this is not actually talking about they going into the third realm, or the heavens where the Most High preside at, and the angels, okay, or where the spirits reside at, okay. When it comes to that dimension, this going to the atmosphere out of the earth as they got their retreats, okay. These elites got their retreats, okay, and we're gonna take them out of those space stations, man. And it says, this will I bring them down, okay? And although they hide themselves at the top of the caramel, okay, going to the mountains, okay, they got the retreats in the mountains, I will search and take them out thence. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, okay, the underwater cities, this will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them. Oh yeah, that serpent, they going to Leviathan, okay, the sea monster, okay, that Lord gonna use as well as his weapon, as his army, okay, to come against Esau, Edom, okay, and these nations. Oh yeah, we about to see some great things, man, some marvelous things, man, okay, that Lord gave unto us, being a mystery, okay, us are the hopeful elect, man, okay, and it says, and though they go into captivity before their enemies, this will I command the sword, and it shall slay them, and I will set my eyes upon them for evil and not for good. Okay, and so we coming in those times, man. Okay, the aftermath of the Third World War, the downfall, the destruction of this place, America, and the coming of Yahweh's second coming, redeeming us, the nation of Israel, starting with us, the hopeful elect, and eventually, throughout the process of time, the Lord descending the elect back here on the earth to rule and take over Esau, Edom, and his heathens, and take them out of their retreats, man. Okay, matter of fact, let me get this and I'll get ready to close. Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 16. Behold, I will send for many fishers, say the Lord, and they shall fish them. And that's going to the elect prophets at this time that's out there on the highways and byways and doing this ministry, putting up videos, okay, as we know as fishers as well. But the Lord only going to gather the elect, the 144,000, and the rest of the elect, the 1/3 of men, women, and children that's destined to be saved and to be covered, okay, for salvation, to be delivered for salvation and the rule, okay. And it says, and after I will send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain, from every hill, and not of the holes of the rocks. In this case, going to the aftermath, as the elites of Esau, Edom, and these heathens going to be in their reserves, or their retreats when it comes to their bunkers. Okay, and part of the hunting is going to be the Lord give his men that power, the ultimate power. Okay, when it comes to the kingdom being established, to take these heathens out of those retreats, starting with the Edomites, and put them in chains, man. Okay, captivity. Okay, but I'm gonna go ahead and end the lesson here, and I pray that lesson will edify till next time, Lord willing. Shalom to the hopeful. Shalom.